Today I want to talk about 5 things that you have to do if you want to future-proof your career. Nowadays, there is no such thing as a totally safe and secure job. There are so many rapid changes happening in the economy, developments in AI and automation, and in addition to that, the lifespans of people are getting longer and longer. And all of those things combined can lead to a job landscape that will look very different in 5, 10, 15 years from now. So future-proofing your career means that you shape your career in such a way that you always stay relevant and prepared for any of these changes. If you're curious to know more about why it's important to future-proof your career, then you might want to check out one of my other videos that I made earlier, which I link up here. And the first one is to build up more than one income stream or multiple income streams. And of course, there are people who would prefer to just stick to one job and one career throughout their entire life. It might be the case that you totally love your job as well as the company that you are working for right now. But at the same time, there is no guarantee that this company will be able to provide you with a job forever. And one way to do this is by having a portfolio career. A portfolio career is a career where you have multiple jobs at once. And these jobs may be related as well as unrelated. Of course, if the jobs are related, then they are much easier to maintain. And an example of this would be if you worked as a marketing manager and on the side you build a consultancy business advising on matters related to marketing. An example of unrelated jobs would be if, for example, you worked as a marketing manager at a company and on the side, on the weekends, you work as a yoga instructor. In any of these two cases, the benefit is that you would not be relying only on one income source. If anything were to happen with this one income stream, let's say in the very worst case, you got laid off or the company perhaps shut down, then you would still have this income stream from your other job. Number 2 is to always be hireable. And there are 2 main things to this. The first one is always making sure that your resume is up to date, looking fresh and interesting, and also building an online presence. It doesn't mean that you have to be on all social media platforms from Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. But I think that the most important thing is that at least you have a LinkedIn profile where you post your resume, your profile, and your accomplishments there. That way, there is always a possibility that a hiring manager or a headhunter can stumble across your profile, see your experiences, your accomplishments, and might even contact you. I understand that most people want to be loyal toward the company that they are working for and ideally work for that company for the longest time possible. And in general, that is a good thing to do. The only problem is that by doing that, by relying on one single company and not putting yourself out there, you are in a very risky position. And by doing that, you are also not in a place where you are able to negotiate. In other words, if you have only one choice and your company also knows this, then you will have no power to negotiate about your position, your working conditions, your salary, etc. So ideally, you would always want to be in a position where, let's say, the demand for you and your work is higher than the supply, which is that one you, that one person. By the way, in case you're enjoying this video so far, then please give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and hit the little alarm bell so that YouTube will notify you of my new videos. The third thing that you have to do if you want to future-proof your career is to continually invest in yourself. Invest in learning new skills and invest time and energy into having more kinds of experience. Try to think about what kind of career or multiple careers you would ideally like to have in future, and from that then work backward and think about the kind of different skills, knowledge, and experiences that you would need to have to get there. And try to build a very unique kind of profile that perhaps only you will have. And by doing that, you will put yourself in a very competitive position. What's really important to note here is that you should never leave the development of your skills and your knowledge up to the company, the learning and development department, or the HR department of the company. Of course, they may have their own training program, learning program that you will have to participate in, but usually that would be something that is is more company directed. They are offering you to learn those kind of specific skills that will be useful for the job you are doing at their company. And these might prove to be very useful, but the problem with this is that it is very company centric. So I think what's important to do is, rather than relying on the learning and development program that the company provides, you have to proactively think of your own learning program. What kind of things do you think you want to master, you want to be skilled at, so that in the long term you can have the kind of career that you want? Here's a question for you. Have you ever thought about the need to future-proof your career, and also have you put in any kind of effort in order to do that? Please let me know in the comments below. I would really love to hear about that. Number 4 is that you need to have a very adaptive mindset. And what this means is that you need to try to avoid to sort of pigeonhole yourself to only work in a specific job function. Like I said earlier, of course, it's a good thing to be specialized, but you don't want to be specialized to that degree, to the extent that it will be hard for you to be flexible and adapt and possibly perform other kinds of job functions. So try to not be too focused on job descriptions, titles, and job functions, but rather than that, try to think about what kind of problem that you want to solve for a company, the company you work in, for a client. And by doing that, you will safeguard yourself, because in the case that in future some job positions, job descriptions will fall away, will disappear, because perhaps they will be performed more efficiently by robots, machines, computers, then you will be able to quickly adapt to that situation and do another job that requires closely related skills. Number 5, and this is extremely important but oftentimes underestimated, is that you always need to have healthy finances. You always need to be on top of your finances, meaning that you are always liquid, you are always able to pay your bills, and that you also have a considerable amount of savings or investments. And now you might ask, what is the relation between my savings and my finances and my career or my future career? Aren't these like two different things? What healthy finances and sufficient savings gives you is choice. In your career development, you always want to have an option of changing careers, moving to a different, better job, and so on. If your finances are a mess and you don't have sufficient savings or an emergency fund, what is likely to happen is that you are always stuck with that one job. Except, of course, if you get another job that pays you at least as well or even more, then you can simply transition to that other job. But changing careers, developing your career is not always that simple. In an effort to pursue what you really want to do in your career, sometimes it means working in a job that pays less. And by having healthy finances and enough of an emergency fund, you will have the choice and the flexibility to develop your career in a way that you want, rather than having to make your career choices based on salary alone. There are many people who have very high earning jobs, but at some point they realize that they actually do not want to be in that job. But they are so highly leveraged. They have various kinds of loans, and even though they have such a high salary, they still live paycheck to paycheck and they don't have anything significant saved up. So when the time comes that they want to go for a perhaps rather drastic career change, it becomes very difficult, because in a way they are chained to that job because they need the salary. They need to have that specific income level to pay all their bills and their loans, and they cannot afford to quit their job or maybe do a sabbatical or maybe take a break for a few months before they want to continue something else. They need to transition directly to another job that pays at least as much. But if your finances are in order and you have a big enough of an emergency fund, then there are a lot of things that you can do, and you can be much more flexible in planning your career. By the way, in case you're new to this channel, I make videos on career change, multiple careers, and the mindsets that go along with it. And one of my goals is that I want to help you to develop the necessary courage to go after and shape the kind of career that you really want and that is best for your life. I hope that this video was useful to you and that you enjoyed it. As always, I thank you so much for watching, especially to those of you who stuck with me to the very end. I wish you an awesome day, all the best for your career, and I hope to see you again soon.